Senior Design 1 presentation, Senior Design 2, the Auto-Captioning System, ACS.
Hello, I'm Bob today. I'm with John Jenkins, Chelsea Swan, and Ashwin Allen, who worked with me on various lobby components, and Drew Mendenhall, who worked on a lot of the server and the integration between the lab and the web server components. And we are all part of the Auto-Captioning System. Right now, there's a drastic decline in the amount of hearing impaired persons that are visiting live performances in theaters. The main reason for that is because there's a lack of accommodations. In Senior Design 1, we developed a solution that addresses that problem, and we're able to manually provide captions to people that are hearing impaired via a web server and mobile devices. And the web server would push messages that would then say next line to all the mobile devices. And you'd be limited by how many mobile devices that your access point would allow for. In Senior Design 1, we received some comments about not using the already developed theater infrastructure in terms of using the DMX 512 protocol to automate our system. So upon that feedback, our goal in Senior Design 2 was to fully automate this to the extent that we could. Looking into that protocol, we called every theater and sent messages to every theater in the Dallas area, and we either got no response or we were told that you cannot touch our device, interact with it, nothing, you can't get anything. So we decided that the next thing to do was to develop an independent standalone solution. When I say independent, you could run it off of just the web server and the microphone on that server, or you would have the option to plug into that to give you get rid of some of the noise so you have access directly to the mics with active aware. We had four major components. One of them was a script conversion tool, which takes the script in multiple formats, plugs them in a database, and separates it by the character, the big sound effects, the line, and the scene and the act and things like that. The database can hold multiple different scripts. And after you have the script in the database, the next play is to train it. So we developed a LabVIEW algorithm a LabVIEW training program that you can sit and one person has to, for one play, go through and mark next for throughout the play, and it will save the times and it will save the major notes that training session created, along with saving the first line of the play, so that we can then use our listening algorithm to automate it using both the timestamps and the voice input. The voice input that we get from either the soundboard or that we are from our microphone would be compared against the previous training using some would be used against the training to see if there was a match, and if there was, it would start the rest of our program, and it would automate the rest based on the timestamps in the training. Are there any questions?
What did you want?
Me, Johnny, Chelsea, and Ashwin worked on the majority of the LabVIEW components. So that includes developing the training program and the listening algorithm. To give you an idea, we have each of us had independent approaches to the listening algorithm, and that took us the biggest portion of time to see which method works the best. Do we use the LabVIEW's frequency module, or do we use some other modules in unison? And eventually, we ended up using a peak and frequency mix that Johnny came up with. So that's what we did for LabVIEW. And Drew worked on the web server and integrating the web server and LabVIEW, so that once our LabVIEW listening algorithm says green light, it matches, it can send a signal using signal to our web server that runs on Node.js and JavaScript.
So you met resistance when you contacted, I guess, the theaters.
Yes, sir.
Did they, were they concerned that you were going to break anything that was already in there? Or?
They weren't, so from the feedback I got in, most of them were either no responses. I had one person actually speak to me from the technical department, and he said, sorry, I can't give you access, you know, we don't know what you may introduce, so we don't want to take that risk. But prior to that, when we tested it, because we had two testing sessions right after Senior Design 1, total about 45 hearing impaired users and hearing impaired professionals. And the feedback we got from them was amazing. They loved it, and there were very minor UI changes from what color the text was, and that was their biggest concern. But when we had that walkthrough, I had an opportunity to speak to the technical, not the production manager, or the top guy for each musical that actually goes in the cities and everything with from the production company. And he said it's something that if there was enough support for, that it's something that they would probably be open to into hearing more about and talking with us.
I think you worked with one of the contributors.
Yes.